What is up, everybody? Thank you for tuning in. This is the Fantasy Football Show, sponsored by Quick Trip, as everything on my channel. And I want to give a shout out to Bart Star Tailgate Party. I'll be down there Sunday for the Saints game. If you don't have nowhere to tailgate, check it out. We're gonna have a good time. I'm gonna be down there. I'm gonna be trying to interview everyone. So if you come and see me, expect to be part of some content. But it's gonna be a good time. And don't forget about Quick Trip rewards, Packer points. Every dollar you spend at Quick Trip, you get a point, and you can use those points to join sweepstakes and win all types of cool stuff. They got truck, the memorabilia, they got all types of stuff. Check the Quick Rewards app; have all the stuff on there. It's pretty awesome. But here we go, fantasy football. It is Tuesday, so we got Dak, Dakota. I always call you Dak because your
Either
Twitter
way.
name in my head. I don't know. It's funny, but we got Dakota as always, and we have RevTrev. I should put the names on here. I always forget to have that there. But how are you guys doing tonight? Having a good time.
Doing
All right,
great.
Yeah.
You're on the big screen. You gotta speak.
Oh, sorry. I'm doing well, man. I thought Dakota was going to jump in there, so I'm pumped. I love it because this week I just started destroying people in my leagues. It was fun. I'm in 2-0 in a lot of leagues, so I'm pumped, man. This has been a great start to the season. So, and pumped to be here with everyone. Glad everyone's joining us tonight.
Sure. So Dakota, how you doing first of all, and how'd you do this last week?
I'm doing well. And fantasy went well. I won again 4-6, just like last week. So and a couple of them were different. So the two I lost, get some wins. So I'm feeling pretty good. I got a couple 2-0 teams. Doing all right.
Yeah, I did not do as well last week. I mean, actually, I scored a lot of points. I think I had like what I don't know if it was like the third highest, but I lost still. But unfortunate. But I didn't start Swift, which I know a lot of people were like, well, I get it or whatever. But like, I knew Aaron Jones was probably not going to play. I just forgot. Like Thursday came and I was just like, I didn't make a decision. All of a sudden it was gone. And I've been beating myself up ever since. But I'm like, oh, I could still win, but it wasn't meant to be. And then Jamal Williams went down. I had him. I don't think he was going to get it done anyways. But I mean, hopefully he's all right. But yeah. So what do you guys have on the agenda to talk about today? We want to help people out with their fantasy teams. Obviously, I'm not that person. I'm the one getting help because I actually have some questions for you guys too. Like speaking of that, what about like Aaron Jones? Like, do we think he's playing? Are you guys paying attention?
Yeah,
I'm not sure that they're giving any information away anyways, but should I be worried for next week?
Yeah, I'm worried for next week because if you looked at the game and when he's running and he grabbing onto the back of his hamstring, I'm like, I don't know about you, but that just was a huge red flag. Like, he's not playing next week. He's not playing the week after that. Like, it's a 3 to 4 week injury that hamstrings are. So now, can he play? Is he going to be superhuman? Aaron Jones is superhuman. He could do anything, right? But at the end of the day, I'm planning that he's going to be out. That's why I started Swift, because I'm like, I need someone in there. And I fluked out and got the 25 points from Swift. So you got to always plan ahead. I think you need to plan ahead when it comes to Aaron Jones. And then if he plays, then you slot him in. So,
yeah, I would agree. Historically, the Packers have been very conservative on the front end of Thursday night games. So if they're hoping that if they think he's maybe okay to go, but they're not sure, they're going to make sure that he's available for that short week. Because if he plays this week and then we have the short week next, he's probably not playing. So I think they're likely going to hold him out and make sure that they have him for Thursday night against the Lions, which is going to be a big deal this season, right? Lions looking like one of the top teams in the division. So that's a big game to play early in the season.
That's the big one.
Yeah, and the Packers are definitely like cautious. They're always cautious. But what are some other injuries that you guys are seeing that people need to get a replacement for.
Yeah, there's this guy named Nick Chubb. I don't know if you guys have known him. I think he's going to be out for a while. Now, I'm not laughing at his injury. That was absolutely horrific. But there are things like that now, and Barkley is out. That's scary stuff, guys. And especially when you invested so much draft capital, those are those picks that you need to have. We want to say hi to the chat. I'm glad everyone's here. Just a heads up, we're going to get to your questions, so please post them here. And you're going to get we're going to answer a lot of questions tonight. But those are some of the big ones that are like Nick Chubb. I feel so bad for him right now. That was awful, but there are options for you if you have him. That's a big one for me. I don't know. I'm giving that was the layup you gave me here, Matt.
Yeah. What about you, Dakota? Who's a guy that maybe you're having to replace?
First of all, my daughter wanted to say hi real quick. So
hey, what's up?
Replacements. Obviously, you got Nick Chubb. I didn't have any injuries really hit my squad, but I think we're still figuring out what's going on with Gus and Justice Hill, and some of those guys are available. We got Barkley's out. It's an ankle sprain. I didn't see anything saying that it was high ankle sprain, so hopefully it's a shorter time period, but he's still probably going to miss at least 2 to 3 weeks, I would guess. They're not putting him on IR, which makes me think it'll be less than 4 weeks, but
yeah. The other ones too is, and you see it in the chat, it's Joe Burrow. There's people still talking about Watson. I think that's a good thing to think about. Eckler's out. These are some significant injuries early on. The good news for the Packers is that we have an early bye week, so that's good news. You've got guys like Breece Hall, who's still coming back from an injury. That is something that you need to kind of keep on making aware. Jonathan Taylor, is he coming when he comes back in week 4? Does he slot in? Is he even going to play on that team? There's a lot of injuries that we have to kind of be aware of. And that Joe Burrow one is very problematic because not only is it the quarterback, it affects all the wide receivers. I mean, who's their backup? I don't even know.
Yeah, really, like if your quarterback goes down, especially if you have a big time quarterback, that affects your whole team. That's for everyone. So let me ask.
Browning is their backup.
Yeesh.
All right. Well, let me ask you this. This is this is a little bit off the subject because I was having a conversation with my son because I wanted to start Jordan Love this last week, but I have Lamar Jackson. He's like, you can't do that. You got to start Lamar Jackson, which they ended up having almost the same exact points. But who would you start?
I feel this week Jordan Love versus Lamar Jackson. I feel pretty good about Jordan Love. I think.
Because to me, Jordan Love is it's fun because I'm already having fun obviously watching the game, but then every time he does something good, it's good for me too. I mean, it's already good for me, but you know what I mean. Just adds another layer to it. But also I don't want to play stupid. Like I know Lamar Jackson, when he goes, he goes.
Yeah, and they got Indy, which is not a super strong team. Indy's defense is sneaky decent, but the issues their defense has is that their offense doesn't give them any help. And now with Richardson out, that could make them even worse. Which could put Lamar in some easy scoring situations. So given that, he might be the smarter choice, but I do think it's going to be pretty even most weeks between those two. I think I have them in the similar tier.
The only thing about Jordan Love, though, is we don't play well against the Saints. And we traditionally play very bad against the Saints. Wasn't it last year we got just smoked by them, or was the year before that? I am concerned. The good news is it's in Green Bay.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
That's where I'm thinking we have a bit of an advantage there compared to before. But a lot of the criticism of Jordan Love right now is that he's just a game manager. Now, you can't say that because the fact is he's got 6 touchdowns and 0 interceptions. I never thought we would be sitting here after week 2 6 touchdowns. You know what? Now I get it. The yards aren't there, and that's what people are worried about when it comes to Jordan Love. Personally, if it was me, and I have to think with my head, not my heart, I'm going Lamar Jackson for one more week to see what Jordan Love does. But if you, Matt, decide, you know what, I'm all in. I'm ride or die. I'm gonna do it. I'm not gonna fault you because we've seen him for 2 weeks and he's produced. So, you know, like I've been impressed with Jordan Love. So I'm still on the play it safe, but you can do it. Where are you leaning?
I think I had Jordan Love starting last week, but then like the last second my son got in my head, which like I say it turned out fine. But I don't know. I think I'm leaning towards. I'm probably gonna play Lamar honestly this week. But one thing I noticed about Lamar, like I wonder if they're trying to like change that offense a little bit so he's not that running crazy guy. Like he's throwing, he's more traditional and taking his spots. I haven't watched a ton of their games. I kind of like got the highlights or whatever. But and then if that's the case, that's smart by the way. To like keep him because he had injury problems. So and then his like that would affect his fantasy numbers, especially if they're running. They got running backs and all that. So,
Mhm. But the
yeah, we'll
other
see what
thing too
happens.
is Lamar Jackson. Like I like him, but I traded him for Justin Herbert before the season started. I'm very happy with that trade. I'd rather have the consistency than the boom and bust. So that might be another option, Matt. You might want to think about is trading, like seeking a trade and seeing someone who, if you're actually gonna be like, I want to start Jordan Love, then you can trade a guy like Lamar Jackson, get something to help your team. It depends on what stage you want to do that, right?
Yeah,
That's
So
I
really
actually
good
thought about
advice
that.
because especially right now, I feel like Lamar Jackson still has a lot of name value. If it's later in the season and he's still not producing at the level people are hoping for, his value is going to go down. Right now is not a bad time if you're in a similar situation to Matt. And the other part I will say is Minshew came in for Indy in week 2 after Richardson went down and then led the comeback or played really well and they got the W. So I don't know. I mean, Minshew might be better currently for the offense than Richardson is. So that might, not give them as many opportunities for Lamar Jackson. It's going to be interesting.
But
I do
yeah,
like Baltimore's defense, though. I feel like they got a pretty solid defense again.
yeah, they usually keep that thing polished up a little bit. But
Mm.
I want to bring up this comment, even though it's not really about fantasy. But the last time we played the Saints in the regular season was September of 2021. We lost 30-3. That is my very first game stream. Like I was like, I'm gonna start
oh my
doing like
goodness.
the watch party thing, and I was kind of
Yeah.
nervous about it. And then I'm all like trying to be like positive. I'm like, hey, never know. And it just keeps getting worse and worse. And it's just like video of me staring at my TV. It's like, oh my god,
That
it's so horrible.
would have been the worst,
And
bro.
because I talk a lot of trash. So all Viking fans and Bear fans were popping in and they're like just saying like, whatever. Everyone's laughing.
But that
It
was
was,
week 1, right?
Yeah, it
yeah,
was.
yeah. It was right
Yeah.
out the gate. Right out the gate.
Yeah, and historically, especially Aaron Rodgers led teams seem to be terrible week 1. So
Yeah,
Not
it was
anymore. Not anymore. He's gone.
yeah, that's what. And it's not week 1 for us anyways. So
And Jordan Love's going to have a better fantasy year than Aaron Rodgers. Fact. I know. Book it, people, right now.
he
too
definitely
soon.
is.
Too soon.
So let me ask you this. Is there any like trades that you see that could happen that could spice up some guys that maybe aren't spicy right now, but they could be moved to a better situation?
Like in the real NFL?
Yeah, like I was thinking about that before. Like like on Madden, and I won't even say this because people will. I would say on Madden, AJ Dillon's always being trade offered. You know what I mean? So like I'm not saying him, and I know that he's a big topic this week. I'm not saying trade AJ Dillon, but like, is there like a backup somewhere that could be moved somewhere and get more touches or whatever? I don't know. I guess we're not
I
Adam
don't know.
Schefter. We don't have.
I think it's too late for the backups to be traded and have significance. But I do think like a Jonathan Taylor is like
Yeah.
just that realistic option, and his value is low right now. Except for in my league, someone just traded for him. It was insane. Oh, they traded AJ Brown they offered this guy AJ Brown for Jonathan Taylor. And I'm like, what are you doing? The guy who had Jonathan Taylor just pushed accept. It was like, what? I just got a number one wide receiver. So crazy things happen like that. I think like a DK Metcalf for a Jonathan Taylor is something that someone, like if you have Jonathan Taylor, someone offered me DK Metcalf, I'd be like, I'm pushing the accept on this, because you don't know. You have to kind of risk it a little bit, but don't send your number one wide receiver for Taylor. I'd be like a wide receiver 2, that wide receiver 3, then that might be the only one that I've been looking for. So I mean, everyone's talking about Akers right now, but I don't know what the market would be. Who wants that guy?
I'd cut ties if you own Akers. Hopefully you listened to the show last week and you picked up Kyron Williams.
Right.
And if you didn't, I'm sorry. But Kyron Williams is still
you don't need
available in like 38% of leagues. So if he's there, go get him. But I would cut ties with Akers. I wouldn't even worry about where he's going. I'm going to find someone else on my roster at that point.
Yeah, don't feel the need to apologize for people not taking our advice. Hey, guys, take our advice. You want to compete, contend, and win a championship? Listen to what we're talking about.
Yeah, definitely don't take my advice. But people keep mentioning Mike Evans. He's actually doing good for me. He's
solid.
He's doing all right.
The better the Bucks do, the less likely they are to trade him mid-season. I'd just like to throw that out there.
Right.
I know that it sounds like he's unlikely to re-sign with them, so it would make sense for them to trade him from just a value standpoint. But if they feel like they got a competitive team, and I mean their defense looks good again, their offense is doing okay, they might not want to trade him mid-season.
I think the problem with that scenario is that people think that Baker Mayfield is Johnny Manziel. Just because they went and both got drafted to Cleveland and kind of busted, Baker Mayfield's going to make something of his career. He's going to be great. Is he going to be? But he's competent, and that's why Mike Evans still has value. That's why Godwin has value, because he's getting the job done. And plus, they just beat down the Bears. So how can you not love Baker Mayfield right now?
Yeah, they helped me out. What do you got?
I was going to say, I think it's good to lead into some of our waiver wire targets.
Yeah.
With all that. So I guess we'll start off. We're talking about Baker Mayfield and quarterbacks. Trev, do you have some quarterback targets?
Yeah, I still think there's a number of quarterbacks that are sitting there that are really good. Like, you might even be able to trade for some of these guys. Like, I still think, like, picking up a guy like Kirk Cousins, like, you still put up monster numbers. You can trade for a guy like Tua. That would be a really great move. A lot of people gave up on Geno Smith week 1. It's amazing to me how many people just think they know what's going to happen after 1 week, right? Mm-hmm. But there was a question in the chat here that was, Derek Carr or Lamar Jackson. I think at the end of the day, it's Lamar Jackson, and that you got to go with Lamar, right? So, but Matthew Stafford is a guy that I'd be picking up as a backup quarterback if your quarterback's struggling. If you got someone who's just not been good for you, please. I mean, a lot of people were high on Daniel Jones being the guy that they waited on. We talked about that last week. But if Joe Burrow is not going to play, I'd be picking up Matt Stafford and starting him. There's something. He's good. I don't know. This just in.
Matt Stafford had a down year last year because he was playing through injury. He didn't have a down year because he suddenly forgot how to play football.
Right.
So Matthew Stafford is a good quarterback, and he's rostered in 35% of leagues right now, which is outrageous to me. He should be on everybody's roster. He's at least worth your backup spot, and he's arguably better than some people are starting. So yeah, I would agree. Stafford is a obvious waiver wire target. I really like CJ Stroud. I was high on him in the preseason. Stroud's he looks like he's growing it each week. Last week looked really solid.
That's true.
And they got a cakewalk of a schedule defensively, in my opinion, these next 3 weeks. They have Jacksonville, Pittsburgh, and Atlanta, and I feel like there's a lot you can put up points against those teams.
Mm-hmm. All right, so let's get to this question. Watson is available in his league. I think that's weird. But what do
We're
you think
talking
about
Deshaun
Christian
Watson or
Watson?
Christian Watson?
No, he's talking about Christian Watson because he's talking about these
He
Packers.
already has.
Yeah, he
Dude,
said
pick up Watson right now.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
a
Like-
very weird thing. He should be rostered 100%.
Actually, let's just talk about that real quick because that is actually something I wanted to bring up tonight. This is when it comes to waivers, everyone's going to be picking up guys tomorrow, right? And but watch who people drop. In fact, when someone drops someone's like Christian Watson, what you should be doing is putting a counter waiver claim on a guy like Christian Watson. He should not be on your waivers right now. He should have been picked up last week. When someone dropped him, you pick him up right now. Like that is a key.
Yeah, he shouldn't have gotten to the new waivers.
It's one of the strategies that, like, for example, in my leagues, Deontay Johnson for the Steelers got dropped in a number of my leagues. I'm like, what are people doing? Put him in the IR spot. Put him on your bench. That guy has got talent. So those are some of the little strategies that can help you win weeks and also make you win down the road as well, because those guys are coming back from injuries. Man, imagine having Watson on waivers.
Yeah,
let's go.
Yeah, that's an easy pickup, and I'd be willing to spend a fair amount of my free agency budget if Christian Watson's sitting there.
Like, what do you think? Like 30%?
Yeah, I was thinking 30. That's what number I had in my head.
Yeah, I think he's a difference maker, right?
Yeah, I mean, assuming that he can play most of the season, I think most games he's in, he's going to put up a fair amount of points.
Yeah.
Let me bring this one up here. Are we nuts to think Zach Wilson could be serviceable? What do you think?
I don't think that he's going to be completely not serviceable, but I would tell you that unless it's a 2-quarterback league, there's better options.
I'm in a best ball league, and I have Aaron Rodgers and Kirk Cousins. Okay.
Yeah.
So I can't pick anyone up. I have to trade. A guy offered me Aaron Rodgers for Zach Wilson, and it was a couple other small pieces to it, Sky Moore and something like that. I'm like, forget it. I'm not taking Zach Wilson. If you like, he's terrible. Now I probably should take that deal because it's a dynasty league, right? But I think Rodgers has potential coming back this year. But I do not think Zach Wilson is serviceable. I do not think he should be on anyone's rosters unless it, like Dakota was saying, it's a 2-quarterback league and he's your third or fourth guy. I'm not starting him. I don't trust him.
Yeah.
I don't even know if he's going to make it through the year. I think they could trade for a quarterback. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah,
I don't trust that guy.
I would say that they could potentially pick up a free agent quarterback like Carson Wentz or something. And at the same time, you know, I value quarterbacks a little bit differently. You know, I think that Wilson could put up, 12 to 15 points, maybe,
Sure.
which is not bad. It's not great. That's not what you want out of your quarterback. But if you're in a pinch, like, it's points. But unless it's, like I said, unless it's a 2-quarterback league, I don't think there's any reason to roster him.
So what do you think about the other Wilson, Russell Wilson?
I like him. I think he's going to bounce back this year. And Judy came back from the injury, didn't do much, but I think it's just because he's coming back from the injury. He's got that connection going with Sutton, which he did not have last year. I know they lost their tight end,
Williams back,
but Mims, right? Is it Mims that went off?
Yeah.
Like I think he's sneaky good. Those are the kind of Wilsons you want to go after. You
I
don't
have
want to
him.
be going after Zach. Zach is a crazy Lego maniac. Okay.
Yeah,
You
he's
don't
my
want any
third
of it.
quarterback, and I see him over there getting those points.
Matt,
The
in
bet.
this, when we do this show, we start talking about, you can go on the waiver wire, pick a guy up. Yeah, go for it, man. Or you want to make a trade for someone, go for it. Like, you know,
we
One
could do that
last
live.
quarterback I'd like to mention, and it's somebody that should definitely be played over Zach Wilson is Howell from Washington. I feel like
Right.
he's a stud, and he's looked really good through 2 weeks, and I only expect it to get better as Terry McLaurin gets more up to speed. So, yeah, if you're sitting with Zach Wilson on your roster right now,
Probably
go pick up one of these
struggling.
guys we talked about instead.
Let me bring this one up here.
yeah, I like this question. So I just read it, and AJ Brown. Okay, this is the thing that I don't. This is the thing why I didn't have AJ Brown in the top tier of wide receivers, because I think Devontae Smith now is the guy that gets enough targets and catches that 1 week it's going to be AJ Brown, 1 week it's going to be Devontae Smith. So just you got to keep that in mind when it comes to AJ Brown. Super talented guy, right? But was reaming out Hurts on the sideline saying, "Give me the ball." So he's a dog, and you want him there. But there's a lot of mouths to feed. I mean, Goddard needs touches. You've got the guys coming to the back. Like Swift likes to get a lot of work as well. You got Gainwell when he comes back. I'm not high. I would trade AJ Brown if you could get like wide receiver tier 1 or 2. I think you could get someone. I think there's going to be better wide receivers like Puka. Puka is going to be better than AJ Brown probably for the season. I know that's a wild take, but I would rather have him at this stage. I just don't like the boomer bust guys.
Is Puka a must start then?
For me, Puka is. And even when Cooper Kupp comes back, I think when Cooper Kupp comes back, Puka still has value. Think about it. Like he's gonna cause double teams. Cooper Kupp is, and he's gonna be wide open, and he's super talented. He's like you said you should pick him up, right? I should have listened to you there. But man, I'm kicking myself. I got offered Puka today, and I said no because he wanted Hawkinson, and he's the only tight end that's actually doing something. So I'm like, I can't replace the tight end value, but I'm like, man, I really want to make this deal.
So what about this question right here? Like AJ for Cam Akers?
Like AJ Dillon?
Oh, AJ Dillon.
Yeah, this is just.
Are you talking about real football?
I think he's talking about real football.
No. We're talking about. I think he's talking about a fantasy trade.
I mean, I would take AJ Dillon over Cam Akers, but I don't really want either of them.
Yeah, I agree.
There you go.
Well, let's talk about running backs then. So we mentioned Kyron Williams. He's above 50% now, so he's not really a waiver wire target, but he's only at like 62%. So if he is available, he should be absolutely rostered. I think he's a really talented guy. We talked about him last week. But the number one running back target I have, and this I think is obvious, but maybe some people have somebody else, but is Jerome Ford.
100%.
And I would like to talk about. I saw a comment that mentioned Kareem Hunt worked out for the Browns. I like Ford more than I like Kareem Hunt. I think Ford's, he's the young guy. He has a lot of speed, and I think there's a reason why they let Hunt walk, and they were happy to go with the young guy. So bringing Hunt in makes sense for them, obviously, and Hunt can play his complementary role like he did last season to Chubb, for this season maybe to Ford. But I think Ford's still the guy that you want.
Yeah. So how much would you spend, Dakota?
I have written down 25 to 30% of my budget.
Okay, well, I'm going bolder. I've got waivers on right now, $52.
Wow.
Out of 100. Then the reason why is this. I hope no one from my league is watching this. Just someone's gonna put 53 and be like, this is the problem. Okay. So I'm gonna put it higher now just because I said that.
5.2.
The reason why I'm going so all in is this is a running team. Deshaun Watson is not producing like we were hoping. Last night he had 24 fantasy points and he didn't even play the whole game.
Yeah,
because Chubb played a good chunk of that first bit. This is a team that you're going to have Ford starting the whole year. Like a lot of people are like, who are you going to take, Sam or Matt Breida or Ford? It's Ford because Barkley's coming back. So I'm just saying you're never going to get a starting running back of this caliber there. So I'm going higher than going over half.
I understand your budget, but it's like I said last week. For me, I'm more conservative with my free agency budget at the beginning of the year, because I like to be when a guy like Chubb or somebody that goes down late in the year, I want to make sure I get that guy, because then his odds of being healthy for the playoff push are higher because now Ford or whoever it would be, is coming in week 14. And it's like, that's when I want to spend all my money. I want to have the money at the end, but I totally get what you're saying. Everything you're saying about Ford, it's to find an RB1 that is going to have, it looks like most of his team share of carries, and it's a running team. That's a great situation to be able to snag a guy like this.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, where did Chubb go in the drafts? Mostly first round, second round, some rounds?
Right. So here's my thing about that, because remember last week we talked about Puka, and at the end of the day, I'm like, I'm going to put 17 down. Well, I was losing those bets because people were putting 25, some put 35 down. And now I'm like, what am I going to do with this fab? There's so many people that don't even spend $1 on their fab. And it's like, you might as well get the guy you want. So this guy's I got 250. I'm spending 250 on Ford. I don't think that's a great idea personally, but that's his call and he wants that guy, then go for it. At least like you use your fab. I literally have guys every year, don't spend $1. And I'm like, what? That's bad strategy. So even if you spend a little bit more than you were hoping for, but maybe that guy has Chubb. And at the end of the day, it's like, dude, I'm hooped if I don't have a running back.
If you're the guy that owns Chubb, you're probably hurting really bad at running back right now. So I can understand going up more like 45% or something. I still don't like to go over 50% this early, but
okay. But so I'll ask you a question on that. Why? What do you get later on that makes it so you win a week or win a championship? Like, isn't it usually earlier is some of those guys that you're like, oh, we didn't see that coming? But who have you picked up in the past that you're like, I got to wait for that guy? Because usually I
usually don't know at this point, but there's always some studs that go down late in the season, it seems. Or even if they're not really hurt that bad, they're doing well and they want to keep them healthy for the playoffs. And I feel like there's always really good options late in the season. I can't think of one at the top of my head that I've done in the past, but I always end up spending my budget. I'm not the guy that keeps his at 100. I spend it, but I usually find guys later in the season, and I'm happy to go all in on them.
Yep.
Yeah, that's the thing with me. I have no idea what any of that spending stuff means because I haven't played fantasy in so long. It's like different now. And I see the numbers there. I'm like, at some point, I'm gonna have to figure that one out.
Well, this week's a good week to think about it, right? So Ford is probably available on your roster in your thing, right? Like, go check it if he is. And then here's the thing. This is the other little strategy I think is really important. When you have guys on your bench that you're like, you know what, I don't know if they're ever going to play on my team. What you do is you drop those guys, those two guys, one or two guys you can have on your bench that are interchangeable. And you go pick up everyone's backups that for example, Ford is not available in most of my leagues because people went and picked him up. I went and picked up Warren. I went and picked up Spears from the Titans because if Henry goes down, if Harris goes down, then they're the number one running backs. So yeah. I have those guys on my bench. And in fact, Warren, I'm keeping him. I'm like, that guy, like you told us last week, Dakota, you need to be having him on your roster. So I'm like, that's a good advice. I went and picked him up. I'm super happy with that right now. And it's
he looks explosive, right?
Yeah, he's not just a handcuff to Harris, right?
Yeah, he's the guy. And those are the guys that I love to get is guys that end up winning the job outright. But, those are a lot of speculative ads. And that's how I pretty much always draft. But that's good advice. And also, in regards to your free agency budget, another benefit to what RevTrev was saying earlier, when most leagues are set up this way, I've seen it where they do have second waivers, but a lot of leagues, if you pick up the guys after they went through initial waivers, you don't have to spend any free agency budget on them.
Right.
And so that saves you money when you're picking up people's trash that you think they made the wrong call on.
Totally.
So do pay attention to those waivers. I always look at those guys. That's who I'm always looking for, on Thursday or whatever, once they clear. And I'm looking at, do I have anybody that I'm going to be able to just throw on the IR? And then I'm picking up these guys speculative and they're free money. And so I fill up my rosters with that.
Let me ask you a question about mine. Like I say, I might go Jordan Love, but either way, I have Jordan Love, Russell Wilson, and Lamar Jackson. So I could probably get rid of, I could probably trade one and get some value somewhere else.
Well, yeah, and the thing is yours is dynasty too. So
yeah,
getting a guy like Sam Howell or something instead of Russ, there's more dynasty.
that's what I was gonna ask. Like, what can I expect to for trade offers for Russell Wilson?
Yeah. The problem with that is you sometimes it works 1 for 1, right? But usually you have to give in a different place where the guy's weak, and it's usually a 2 for 2. You lose in one, and then, but I don't know, maybe someone would do Russ for Howell straight up. I mean, that would be really tempting. If I had Howell, I'd be tempted to pull the trigger on that deal because I like Russ, but I don't know. You have to also.
I mean, if you're in a dynasty league, how do you feel about that? Long-term outlook.
For me?
I'm asking RevTrev.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's 2 weeks, so it's hard to I always lean with the guy who's done it before over the guy that has potential. But in this case, I like Howell. I like what I'm seeing there, and they do have weapons. So it's not like you're just okay, he's young, so such and such should happen. I actually think with those wide receivers and that defense, Howell is a sneaky play that I knew a lot of guys that were we're targeting Howell. They actually didn't even draft quarterbacks and went Howell only. I was like, wow, that's bold, right? So
I drafted him in 3 of my leagues, and
as a backup or as a starter?
In one of my leagues, he was the first quarterback I picked.
Wow, good for you.
And I picked C.J. Stroud after him, which I thought was weird. How did Stroud drop? But
this Dakota has balls. Deal when it comes to fantasy football. I love it.
Let's say Mike says here, leaning towards starting Goff versus Atlanta. My other option is Herbert versus Vikings. What do you guys think about that?
Man, that's tough. I'm a huge Herbert fan, so that's really hard for me. Let me just look this up.
Yeah, sorry. That's what I'm doing too.
Okay, so Herbert is third right now. Yeah. Okay, so he's averaging 20 or 22 points a game, where Goff, he had 14 week 1. He had almost 23 week 2. He's just thinking they're going to destroy Atlanta, right? That's the key there. But the Vikings don't have a great defense either. So what is?
Yeah, I would like Herbert still.
I would do Herbert. I know that you're leaning Goff. Are you leaning Goff because you're a Lions fan, or are you leaning Goff because you actually think he's going to have a better week? Just because he has one good week,
Eckler being out,
he's going to have 2 good weeks, right?
Yeah, and
let's go. I love it, Jason. Love you, man. This is awesome. I love that call. Wouldn't that be nice?
Yeah, that'd be nice. Jordan Love did. If I started Jordan Love and he threw his first 5 touchdown game, and I'm gonna be there, so I would like that for that more.
Yeah, I think when you go to the game, there's something special about you starting the guy that you're watching.
He's right there.
Of the day, it's more about the fun.
Yeah,
I mean, if he sucks, then you're like, oh, it's a double kick in the nuts. But at the end of the day,
it's been pretty even. So even if I trust Jordan Love, so I don't think he's gonna have a colossal bad day where he's throwing interception and all this crazy stuff. And I feel like Lamar's kind of the same thing. I feel like you said, throughout the year, they're probably going to be pretty similar. Some weeks, one might be more than the other, but I don't think that it's like a huge gamble by me.
Right.
Plus, I love Jordan Love.
So, I saw a comment about Tony Jones Jr. and I'm fine if you want to stream Tony Jones Jr., but I don't really want to pick him up because I feel like he's a 1 week option. Because Kamara's back after next week, right? Or is it 2 weeks now?
Nope, he's back week 4.
That's what I thought. So Kamara's back next week, not this week, the following week. And, who knows how long Jamal Williams is out, but, I mean, the Packers
I have him.
Do you know how long he's going to be out then?
No, I have no idea. But I have him on my team.
I think Tony Tony Jones Jr. could do fine against the Packers, especially if Lucas Van Ness is out too. Adding injuries to that team. But I don't know. I would hope that most people don't really have to stream running backs this early in the season.
But I think if you're going to pick up Tony Jones, and he says I picked up Tony Jones Jr. since Jamal's hurt. If you have Tony Jones Jr., he should be in your flex probably.
Yeah,
I mean, he's a starting running back.
I think he's fine to play this week.
Yeah, play him 1 week, see what he does, and then here. I mean, you're right. Jamal Williams is gone, so.
Yeah, what do I do with him?
Jamal Williams? I think Jamal Williams is droppable. I think you should be using your fab and picking up a different guy and dropping Jamal Williams personally.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
They have not used him like they did in Detroit. I've got him in multiple leagues, and I don't want him anymore. I'm like,
but I mean, it is a hamstring injury, and so like you said, 3 to 4 weeks or something. So I don't know. I don't know if Tony Jones Jr. has much rest of the season value. Is my point.
Yeah, it's just for 1 week.
Yeah,
maybe 2 weeks max.
So let's get to wide receivers. I just saw Tank Dell. I have Tank Dell as my number 1 wide receiver in free agency, and I know that maybe that's controversial, but I drafted Tank Dell as like my last pick in a couple of drafts because I mean, if anybody saw it before he went out with the Hanley or whatever it was in the preseason, I mean, he was gobbling up targets, and he looked really good in training camp. Him and Stroud already seem to have that connection, and I think I mentioned him one of our weeks talking here. Guys like that are just so quarterback friendly and can get you, it's like a Wes Welker or something, and just getting those little targets. That's so nice for a rookie quarterback to have a guy like that. So I like Tank Dell a lot. I think in PPR he's going to be pretty solid. I think he's going to be a good like wide receiver 3 or something moving forward.
Mm-hmm.
There you go. We got a question here. Thoughts on Kyren Williams and Garrett Wilson for Waller, CD, and Addison?
That's a decent is he offering there that has been offered to him? I like the Kyren Williams and the Garrett Wilson side right there because I just don't like Waller just seems to be made out of glass and he doesn't last the season. And I know he's good. Don't get me wrong. Addison is going to be a hit or miss guy. I think it's just Jefferson. They just look for Jefferson.
Yeah, I think Addison
and
Osborne are going to alternate basically which one gets the most secondary points there.
Yeah.
Obviously CD's solid, but I think Kyren and Garrett are pretty good. If I'm the one receiving Kyren or Garrett, I might take a look at what their roster is, and if I'm sending out 3, I'd be like, can I snag maybe somebody else if he's got anybody worthwhile? But I kind of lean that way too, I think.
Okay, so let me ask you this. We talked about Swift earlier, but do we look at Swift differently now? Like, he had this game, like a lot of people, didn't expect to pop off like that. Are they going to use him? Are they going to keep, giving him those opportunities?
I think they should, but I don't think they will. There's for some reason they like Gainwell, and I don't get it. He's not that good. He's not.
I agree. It's a committee.
He's not good as Swift.
No, he's not. But it's a committee there, and
yes,
and I don't like that. And
I'd trade him away.
Like
Swift is a good sell high right now, and the thing is Jalen Hurts is still such a running quarterback, and that guy loves to pull every read option. So I don't love Swift week to week. I feel like I'm going to be wondering each time I start him if he's going to go off or not.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, my thing is I'm thinking because I have Aaron Jones, and if he's out, I have Swift. But and I'm now if I start him, he probably will never do that again.
But Matt, actually, that's a good point because you don't have another running back, right? After Jones,
I have Stevenson from New England.
Yeah, but you got to start 2 of them, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you're going to start Swift and Stevenson as long as Aaron Jones is out. That's good. That's a good plan.
Yeah,
I would do that.
That's what I should have done this week.
Yeah, but that's okay. You learn. That's why it's about, fantasy is about learning, right? If we go to that one by Ryan Daniel, the Purdy one at home, this will actually answer 2 questions here. I don't know if you can find that one there, Matt.
I'll scroll it up.
But Purdy at home against the Giants or Dak on the road against the Cardinals, I probably have to sit Burrow. So if you're sitting Burrow, which is fine, both of those are good options. I prefer Dak on the road against Arizona because they don't have a great defense personally. And then also it speaks to the one that Mike said, picked up Ferguson and starting him this week over Waller. Thoughts? I don't have a problem with either one of those plays. Purdy is solid, though. He's got all those weapons around him. I don't think you go wrong, but I have a feeling the Giants are going to bounce back one of these weeks, and their defense is finally going to do something. So I don't know if it's going to be this week against the 49ers, but I get a little nervous every time I want to recommend Purdy. I'm like, there's something about Dak that I'm just like, he can run the ball. I would lean Dak on that one for Ryan there. I don't know if that helps you, but then it also Ferguson. He loves throwing it to CeeDee Lamb and Ferguson. I'm high on those guys, so I would lean there.
I saw Ferguson get dropped in one of my leagues, and I immediately scooped him up. So,
yeah,
I'm fine with starting Ferguson over Waller, and Arizona is basically tanking for Caleb Williams. So.
He scored 29 points against the Giants or something crazy like that, though. That was wild. That's the other quarterback, Dobbs. That's the guy you want to That guy's a sneaky play. But anyway,
according to Pro Football Focus, Dobbs is better than Jordan Love.
Let's burn it down.
Yeah, you know what I mean.
What are they talking? Do they watch football? Or no?
So here, Packer fans, let's talk about Packer, Jaden Reed.
Love it.
Love him, but I don't know for fantasy wise. People are it was the Jaden Reed coming out party. It's I don't know if that's true for fantasy. I do think possibly he's got that speed. I think when Watson comes back, I don't really know what to do with Reed. That's the problem.
Yeah, I think that Reed has emerged that he's going to be the slot guy. And LaFleur has shown that he's willing to get him the ball in creative ways last week. So I like that. As far as what his value is going to be going forward, especially with Watson back, it's hard to say right now. I do think that he's going to be, the guy in 3 wide receiver sets. He's going to be in there, over Toure. And I think Heath is more of an outside guy and Wicks too. So I think he's basically won the slot role. What does that mean moving forward? It's hard to say because we haven't even really seen Jordan Love enough to know if he's got, if he likes to pepper the slot or what it is,
Yeah, I think
I'm picking him up if you got space.
Yeah, I think that you just don't know because like you say how much they're going to use him. I think that they're going to try to get creative because he's got speed, he's got that ability, but I don't think he's going to be consistent. Big numbers. In real life, I think he's going to be legit. I'm excited about him. But for fantasy, I'm not sure he's going to get those big points every week.
I have him ranked as my 4th wide receiver on the waiver wire targets. And keep in mind, being top 5 or something is all fine and good, but you don't need to pick up a waiver wire every week. You know what I mean? Don't just pick up guys because you feel like you have to. If you need a spot, you need a guy, then I think he's okay. But Ryan Daniels saying he should get even more open with Watson in there. I think Dobbs is going to be the biggest recipient of Watson being back.
I agree.
Is Watson supposed to be back for sure? Do we know?
He did get a limited practice in last week. He seemed more questionable to play than Jones was. Jones seemed like he was just out. So I think it's possible that Watson is back this week, but it's hard to say until we see some practice reports.
All right, do you guys got anything else you want to educate the folks with?
I don't know. I think we give him a lot of stuff here to think about, because if you do those little tricks and those little strategies, it helps you to win weeks and to have. And the other thing is, though, when you snag up some of those guys off waivers, or the guys who got dropped, for example, like the Deontay Johnsons, the Christian Watsons of the world that people are dropping, what happens is it strengthens your bench for trading, because there's guys who are like, hey, I want that guy, and you can throw guys in to get that deal going. That's another kind of thing we should probably talk about next week, is because week 3, week 4, people start really talking about trades. And so tune in next week for sure for the trades stuff. And if you have not should I offer this, more like what am I receiving, or I'm going to offer this, that's the kind of stuff that we want to answer for you next week, because it's not, but you hear the thought processes that we're saying here. As I said, that the thought process, I mean, the way we're thinking, right? Because there's ways you can improve your roster through trades. Like if Deontay Smith has another good week, Matt, that's a guy I'd be like, man, Aaron Jones is coming back. That's a guy you could trade and get some value for and really improve your roster.
Yeah.
Because you're not going to start them. So
another note on that, and with these waiver wire pickups we're talking about, is even if you are in really good shape at running back and you're like, I don't need another running back, you can still pick up Ford and pick up Ford. You drop maybe your bottom wide receiver or backup tight end or something, and now you have some trade pieces, right? You're just like, okay, I've got a bunch of running backs. Somebody's going to need one. And if I need to go get a wide receiver or whatever, I've got the assets to do that.
mm-hmm.
I want to slip one last question in here.
Sure.
Kelsey's back. I think he got me like 10 points or something. Obviously coming back. Do we see him bringing those numbers up? Because I'd like to see that.
Yeah, he's going to trend up. I expect Kelsey to be Kelsey and still average like near 20 points a game.
I'd like to get back to that.
But in my opinion, I still think Hawkinson, this is my bold take, I think Hawkinson turns into tight end number 1 this year, just because that he was injured. But maybe I'm wrong on that. It depends if Kelsey has a bunch of like monster weeks again, like he always does.
Yeah, where he obviously 40 pieces.
Yeah. So I'm thinking, like, at the end of the day, Kelsey and Hawkinson are the only 2 tight ends that you really want, to be honest. I mean, I do like Andrews a lot, but I just have this feeling that like they don't trust Addison enough yet in Minnesota. I think Hawkinson's the guy he trusts after Jefferson. So I like that. That's my little sneak. Now, he was getting drafted super high. So I like what Mike had to say, that Kansas City defense is a good pickup this week against the Bears. I agree with that 100%. So Bears still suck, right, Matt?
I think whatever defense is playing the Bears, whatever defense is playing, Arizona or Carolina, I think those are good defenses to pick up.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
All right, so we're going to wrap this thing up. Next week, like you said, we'll talk about some trades that can happen, because I'll have some questions. Maybe even during the week, I might have to hit you up. But I appreciate everyone watching. Big shout out to Quick Trip. And thanks for tuning in, whether you're on the podcast, whether on YouTube, Facebook, wherever you're, even Twitch. Thanks for watching there. Peace out. I tried to play a video to end it, but all right, it moved on me. Here we go.